Hi and welcome to my channel. Unless you've been living on Mars for the last week, you'll have seen the news all over YouTube that Pentax are going to introduce a line of film cameras. This is crazy big news. Let's get into it. I would have been a little bit faster off the mark in doing some comment on this really interesting news, but unfortunately over the Christmas period I succumbed to what could only be described as son of COVID, which kind of laid me a bit low for a few days and meant that I was only drinking hot drinks and feeling sorry for myself. But this news is big enough to drag me out of my comfort tea and blankets, and has meant that I really want to get into this and discuss what this actually means, not just for people that shoot film, but actually for the whole photographic industry, because it's a really interesting development. It's only fair to mention before we get into the whole Pentax thing that in fact Leica have been producing a 35mm rangefinder camera all the way through. So in fact 35mm film camera production hasn't died, it's just suffered a very near-death experience with just one manufacturer carrying on in tiny numbers for very esoteric prices indeed. The big deal about this announcement, which you can find on the Ricoh YouTube site, I think on the Ricoh website, and I'll provide a link in the description to it. 7-minute video by a design engineer working for Ricoh Pentax, which says pretty much what all of us enthusiasts for film photography have been saying for quite a while, that film photography will die unless new film cameras can be made, and that somebody has to step into the breach to make them. Do take a look at that video. It's a fascinating one, and it kind of gets you in the heart a little bit, because it seems to be coming from a very sincere place indeed. Let me try and go over some of the basic points in the Pentax video. Pentax, like most of us, have seen the rise in interest in film photography in the last 3 or 4 years particularly, and are seeing large numbers of young people going back to shooting film. Now, we're reaching a point where the engineers and designers who were involved in creating film cameras back in the day are now largely retired, and so the great pool of their knowledge is likely to be lost, and we're reaching a point where we can either go for producing cameras again, film cameras again, or we won't be able to, or at least it will be significantly more difficult to retro-engineer things without the grey heads involved. So Pentax have gotten together their old retired engineers and their young engineers and designers, and they're putting together plans for a range of cameras that will start out with a compact and then introduce an electronic SLR, and finally they're hoping a fully mechanical SLR. Well, that's the bare bones of it, and I would encourage all of you to hop over to the link video and take a look at all of it. It's quite fascinating, and it's very exciting. Now, it's very exciting on several levels. One is that to get new compact cameras like this little Rolly or this Olympus that we've taken for granted from the past will be fantastic. And also this will be a nice little cap for prices of compact cameras, which actually Camera Rescue on their YouTube site made an argument for. The other thing that's really exciting here is that this will increase the possibility of investment for other small companies who are trying to get a foot on the ladder of camera production. I think it can't be understated that for everything, whether it be producing film or producing photographic accessories, developing tanks, whatever, the fact that new cameras will be arriving, whatever the time frame that may be, will spur more investment, more development, and the enthusiasm will build even further from there. I think what we have to do within all of this is not to get too excited about, for example, the prospect of a new Pentax K1000 or a new Pentax LX, because that's quite a long way down the road, and it may not even come to fruition in that form. But this will also be a spur to other manufacturers to possibly go down the same route. Maybe Canon or maybe Nikon or someone else who's hanging around the peripheries of this, and see that there is a possibility of resurrecting some of their popular old models and using their pools of skills before they're gone forever. I was really pleased to see the emphasis in the Pentax video put on repair and indeed warranty. Now, repair is something that's become more and more difficult for film cameras over the last few years as the major manufacturers have pulled out of film. So their repair departments have changed bias, and there aren't the old heads there anymore to do the film camera repairs. And indeed, the independent companies who do film camera repairs are becoming fewer and more far between. There will be a significant spur with new cameras coming on the market to train new technicians in how to fix them. So this will trickle down into all aspects of service for film cameras. To be honest, I think it was about time for some good news in the film photography world. We've had shortages of colour films. We've had the almost certain knowledge that Fuji will pull out of the film market entirely very shortly. It appears that they are intent on doing that. Many people have joked that they'll have to change their name from Fujifilm to Fuji No Film, but be it what it may be, it's nice to have something to balance out the bad news. In fact, I think to squash the bad news down quite a lot, because we do have quite a lot to be thankful for. We have companies like Ilford who have stuck to film through thick and thin, and we have companies from Lomography to CineStill to dozens of small Adox and all of the great companies that we've come to rely on now in a sort of post-mainstream film world. There's a lot to be thankful for. And this is the icing on the 2022 cake that I think will make the future look an awful lot brighter for film in 2023. So, for the reasons of the announcement by Leica that the M6 is coming back, the announcement by Pentax that they're going to be reintroducing film cameras, I can get all excited and I can go into some of what I'm planning for the future of this channel. Particularly over the next few months, over 2023, Some of the things maybe I've started in the last year or so and haven't got round to finishing, and really ought to be taking up on that and carrying through with it. One of those things was I started part 1 of the building a large format camera series, and I really got no further than the initial first building the bellows episode. Now, the reason for that, I'll be absolutely honest, is because I managed to pick up the 5x7 Kodak Specialist camera, which kind of removed the need for building another 5x7 and kind of put the damper on the project for the time being. And I've been trying to work out how to go forward with that one, and I think I've come upon what may be quite a good way of doing that. I'd love your comments on this, but what I'm going to be doing is producing another set of bellows, and they're going to be in 10.8, and I'm going to convert the whole project to building a 10.8 camera. I have various focusing mechanisms and everything sorted out for it, and I'm going to go forward as building a 10.8. But in tandem to that, I'm also going to be producing plans for both the 10.8 and the 5.7 camera, and if people are interested, a 5.4 version, which I'll be putting on my Patreon site. So you'll be able to go on and download the plans and follow along with my series and build your own 5x4, hopefully, but certainly 5x7 or 10.8 camera. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm going to be advancing that in the next couple of months. I've been working over the holiday period, when I haven't been unwell, on trying to get my procedures for developing C41 film thoroughly sorted out, so I can be doing a bit more of that with you guys and trying to save you all some money by working out shortcuts, etc. for this, because as far as colour is concerned, we can all do with saving the odd pound or dollar here and there at the moment, because it's turning into an expensive world. So if you've enjoyed this video, then perhaps you'll hit the like button, and if you've really enjoyed it, then perhaps you'll think about subscribing, because every subscription turns me into a grinning Cheshire cat, and I'm grinning more and more recently because we're heading up towards that 800 subscribers, and I'm hoping that soon in the new year we might even hit 1,000, which will be absolutely fantastic. Don't forget, if you want to make a more direct contribution to keeping the lights on for the channel, then perhaps you'll think about going over and looking up my Patreon site. There will be more stuff there this year. As I say, I'm planning to get 5x4, 10x8, 7x5 camera plans. I may be doing something with film holders, possibly some alternative process stuff, maybe a little niche for the YouTube channel, but it will go on Patreon, and we'll see how it goes from there. So, until I see you again, you take care, have a peaceful new year, and don't forget, keep taking pictures.